Hello and welcome to the speed build for my Christmas themed starter home. I have another speed build of a Christmas home up, but I thought I would also do a starter home just to kind of show people what you can build for not too much money. When I build starter homes, what I like to do is buy all of the items that I'm going to place in the home first. So that way you've kind of bought the basics and you don't run out of money for the basics, and then you can build and decorate as you please, basically until you run out of money. So I was just buying kind of the things that every sim home needs. So, there was a table and a full kitchen appliances, couch, TV, all of that stuff. And then I also added in the Christmas tree because obviously this is a Christmas speed build, so that was a must-buy item that normally isn't must-buy. I don't buy any decorative items usually when I'm building starter homes until I'm done building. And then when I start the building process, I try to include as few walls as possible because walls are pretty expensive and you also have to paint them, which is an added expense. So I use as small of a space and as few walls as possible, which generally leads to open plan living and some really tiny homes, but tiny homes that turn out cute. I actually sized this home down a little bit more, just based on me wanting to include a lot of Christmas decorations and thinking, you know, I'm not going to have as much money to work with as I normally have when building a home because I knew I wanted to include like the Christmas lights, and those are I think about 100 simoleons a pop, and so I was trying to downsize a little bit. The roof on this home was pretty awkward. I think it was just maybe the layout of the house. It's a weird shape to then roof, and I had in mind a certain idea of what the roof would look like, and it didn't turn out anything like what I wanted it to look like. Um, but I mean, that's kind of the story with me and roofing. I'm still not great at roofing yet. It's constantly a work in progress for me. So in the meantime, you get to see me try and fiddle with roofs and try and figure out what I'm doing. I also had a lot of trouble trying to choose windows for this home because I didn't want to necessarily use the same window everywhere. But I found that it was just fitting that way. I think because this home is so small, to use a bunch of different style of windows doesn't really work very well because you would have like 6 or 7 styles all in one very small space, and it was just too much. So then I started to size down the home a little bit because I knew I had some space to work with and it would help me budget wise, and it made it easier to do the windows in that front cutout section. I ended up attaching 2 windows by using the Move Objects cheat, so it almost looks like it's like one window, sort of. Like it's kind of just it's almost as if like those windows are connected. Like obviously they're different windows, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but yeah, I don't know. I liked the effect. Um, and then there was just a lot more fine tuning with the roofing and just trying to get it to look right. And eventually I decided just to leave it because sometimes I play with things too much and it just ends up getting really like overblown and taking away from the rest of the build. And um, I think until I'm better at roofing and know how to do exactly what I want to do, um, it's better for me to play with it for a little while and then eventually just say, okay, enough, you gotta move on to something else. So that's what I did with this roof. And then I used a chimney to cover up the section of roof that was poking through in the back. I didn't decorate the back of this house really. I did add in a couple trees, but I figured it was best to save money by just focusing on the front. So that's what I did. And then I was using Christmas colors in this house, so I did want the exterior to be in Christmas tones. And so I was using like a reddish brown wood siding and then some white for paint because I did have the green columns, and I didn't want it to clash too much. I don't think I would normally paint a house these colors, um, but I think it turns out, festive. It's not necessarily like the cleanest design or like most like magazine worthy, but you gotta have a little fun around Christmas time, and that's what I did with this build. So yeah, and then I was adding in some spandrels and some fencing, and I think the spandrels, I think I'm saying that right. I think those really made that front porch type area look complete. I left it at ground level because that's another easy way to save money. Stairs are ridiculously expensive in this game, and anytime you raise the house up, you have to use stairs. So, I mean, there is one, if you raise it up just a tiny bit, I don't believe you have to use stairs, but every time I've had to play test it, my Sims like to pretend that they can't get into the house. So if I'm trying to save money, I don't raise the house at all. Um, with this house, I did put some landscaping out front, so it doesn't, like, I think kind of the foundation really just helps with the transition from the ground to the house. And because I had so much landscaping out front, I don't think that transition was as important as it tends to be. Obviously, if this was not a starter home, I would build a foundation. I like to put foundations on my builds. But because this was a starter home and I was trying to save money, I didn't include it. So then I was just doing some terrain paint instead of putting flooring there, again, just to save money. And I'm just really bad at creating straight lines, so I just try and use any trick I can to like help me create a straight line. I normally end up turning the grid on when I do terrain paint, but I didn't in this build. I don't exactly remember why, I just didn't. Um, then I put some landscaping out front. It's a little bit hard with the landscaping in terms of a Christmas house because, like, for me, I never want to put too much out there in Christmas, especially in a starter home, because, um, like, landscaping doesn't really survive in winter, and, like, I can't overload the lot with trees because trees are expensive, and it would just really take out of the decorating budget, and I feel like it's not worth it. So I did end up putting two trees in, but they were like sized up and cheap trees. And like that's something that I probably wouldn't normally do for any other starter home build, but I think because it was like a Christmas starter and I wanted to make it kind of cabiny, I decided to add in some trees eventually. I mean, here I'm still putting in like flowers and lavender. I don't know what it is for me about lavender that says like winter, but yeah, in my mind, lavender still works for winter landscaping. Yeah, so then I'm just kind of putting the trees in and finishing up the base exterior decorations, putting some dirt underneath all of the trees, and starting to, decorate the outside of the house. Again, I don't think I'm really great at the positioning of every like Christmas decoration because I'm Jewish, but I mean, that's just what you get with me. And then I was playing with the lights outside. I changed the position of the wreath and the garlands a bunch of times. I cut out a lot of that because I just couldn't decide where I liked it. I didn't know where a good place to put it would be. Um, and I briefly thought about doing a green floor, but I decided if I wanted to decorate, I think the green would have been too much. So I left it kind of with like the plain wood feel. The bathroom was a bit of a struggle. I'm not a fan of like the floor tile options in the game outside of the like floor tiles that they have for spa day. But I was trying to stick with kind of a cheap floor, and I also didn't want the bathroom to look very modern, because I kind of wanted this to look like an old cabin. Um, So yeah, I went with some patterns that I normally wouldn't use in the bathroom, but I felt like they were fitting for the home. And then I believe I ended up at some point changing the color of the appliances. Maybe? I might not have. I don't remember. But yeah, I was fiddling with the placement of the Christmas tree a lot just to try and get it like lined up nicely in the corner but not have it poke through. And then just adding in some rugs and some decorations in the living room. One of the things I like about starters is that they don't take too long to actually furnish and do. So I can kind of like do a starter home all in one sitting. And I don't know, there's something that's just like really like fun about like sitting down and finishing something all at once and like not spending like 7 hours of your day doing it. Um, but yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun with this home. I don't think it's the prettiest home that I've ever built, but it was definitely enjoyable to do. This bedroom was a little bit tricky because couldn't decide like what I wanted to put on that long wall. There were all kinds of like shadows with the pictures, and eventually I had to just like stick with the shadow. And then I built like a shelf thing for the bed as kind of like a decorative and like storage type space. And I do, like, when I do use that bed, which is very rarely since it's not comfortable and your Sims complain when they sleep in it, um, when I do use that bed, I really do like to put in the shelves for some reason. I don't know, I think it adds like a nice touch to it. I was gonna go with the two-tone look there, and I think I changed it by the end. I don't remember fully. Um, and then I kind of just strung up some lights because I think that Christmas lights look really nice in a bedroom at night. Like in real life, when you put Christmas lights in your bedroom, like it's just always so cozy, and I just really like the way it looks. Um, but yeah, I was just kind of trying to add some finishing touches, trying to get some curtains that worked out, adding in a mirror, which I really didn't need to put in, but I just kind of needed something for that corner, so I figured like the mirror was probably the best option. Um, and I mean, I had like a decent amount of money left at this point. Like, I wasn't totally broke, so I was like, this is good. Like, I can add in some like fun things. Because I did want to get like some basic decorations down, and I didn't want to have like a ton of decorations in one room and like have to leave other rooms empty. So I was kind of going back and forth between rooms a little bit as I was trying to manage the budget, um, just so that there was kind of like the same level of decoration throughout. This corner in the kitchen was very tricky to do. I I just couldn't find anything that seemed to fit the space well, and it seems like I didn't spend a ton of time on it in this video, but like I just remember sitting there thinking like, oh God, I really need something cooler like to go there. I just don't know what to put there. Yeah, it got frustrating. And then I did like I had extra money as I mentioned, so I was like, oh, I should probably put a bookcase into like this house. Like that would be helpful. But I had to use the wall bookcase because I didn't really have good floor space for a different bookcase. So yeah, I did change out the fridge to the red fridge, which I actually really like that red fridge. I think it's kind of retro looking, and so I do sometimes include it in homes just for fun. Um, and then it was just some finishing work, trying to um, add a little bit more oomph to the decorations of the home, adding some more Christmas lights, um, and I did end up fiddling with the outside a little bit, and didn't end up showing that on camera, because I was doing it when I was trying to upload this home to the gallery, and I didn't like the gallery photo, so I was playing around with the outdoors. I keep waiting for The Sims to like allow us to put in custom photos for the gallery, or at least like change the angles on the photo, or something like that. I don't know why we're not able to do it now, but yeah, the gallery photo, Hattie Sims, who is a YouTuber who I've mentioned before, who's just really good. Um, she talks a lot about the gallery photo and how much that helps. And I've kind of adopted that strategy, and it does really help like my builds kind of spread on the gallery and adds to downloads. So yeah, these are the screenshots. I did create like a guy I called Santa Claus to live in the house. He doesn't, I don't think he comes with the house, but you know. And then the cookie jar in the kitchen, I had to end up moving once I play tested because he wouldn't make himself food, which is annoying, but whatever. And then, yeah, that's the house. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you all have a happy holiday, whatever you celebrate. Enjoy time with family and friends, and I will see you soon.